Hey bestie, it's Sunday, which means I'm meal prepping because super cuties like us hate thinking about what we have to eat each and every day. And so every Sunday, I spend a couple of hours prepping a breakfast, a cold foam, a lunch, and a silly little treat to get me through the week. This week, we have a lot of fun things that we're going to prep. I try to balance things out so I'm not baking too many difficult things in one day. Some weeks I do better than others, so we'll see how this week goes. Here's everything I'm prepping this week. If you've hung around here before, then you know nothing is more relaxing to me than the sounds of middle aged rich women arguing in beautiful settings. This week, we're catching up on Real Housewives of Potomac, so the plan, per usual, is to binge watch that as I get my meal prep done. Does this distract me? Probably, but the fun outweighs the delay. In one of the best moments of my life, someone referred to me as the Gordon Ramsay of cold foams, and I don't take that title lightly, which is why I have a commitment to making a new flavor of cold foam each and every week. This week was milk and cookies, so I have to infuse the heavy cream with cookies. That sits by on the counter while I start peeling some veggies. First up is peeling and chopping some Japanese sweet potatoes. I like these better than the orange ones. For me, the structure of the potato holds up a little bit better when roasting, and you get a really nice caramelization flavor. I absolutely have to use these heirloom tomatoes this week before they go bad. Heirlooms can be so expensive, so I buy them at Trader Joe's, but I have to buy them in the package and it's so many tomatoes. I saw Justine Snacks do this trick with the parchment paper and I've been obsessed ever since. This is where I'm going to roast the sweet potatoes, probably at 425 for about 25 minutes. Before putting them in the oven, I add avocado oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and smoked paprika. Next, I'm going to get all the chopping out of the way. I'm going to start by chopping an onion, and I don't need the entire onion for when I'm meal prepping, but I'm going to look out for future Nicole's eyeballs and cut the entire onion now, and store what I don't use in the fridge for dinners in the week. For most of my young adult life, I thought I was immune to that whole onion crying thing, but it turns out it was just because I was wearing contact lenses. Now that I wear glasses, it is brutal. Starting to cook some sausage for the breakfast casserole. Oven's preheated and I'm getting those sweet potatoes in the oven. Now I'm going to prep some meatballs. These are actually going to be for dinner. My son has wrestling meets once a week and they go till about 8:30 at night. And it's so hard to get dinner in, and so I thought I'd prep these meatballs to cook them before the meat and then just make it easier to heat them up with spaghetti after we get home. Ground beef and pork in a bowl with an egg, some breadcrumbs, mustard, a little Worcestershire, some cut up onion, salt, pepper, garlic powder, all of that. Checking on my sausage. And then quickly diverting to making some scrambled eggs. My sausage is getting done, and so are the sweet potatoes, so I want to get that going. Eggs, a little bit of heavy cream, some salt and pepper, mix those up. Tomatoes are going in with the sausage. Then I'm going to pour that into the sweet potato mixture, adding in a little spinach to get those greens in and mixing that all out. Then I'm going to pour over the scrambled eggs, add some feta, and put that back in the oven. Initially, I thought it was going to be about 10 to 15 minutes, but we'll see how long it takes. Back to my meatballs, doing my little parchment trick, and using the scooper to easily scoop my meatballs out. Like I said, I'm not going to cook these ahead of time, just going to get them all going and in the pan and into the fridge. I probably should have used a Tupperware that I have a top for, but I want to just throw this glass tray in the oven when I'm ready. And your girl is already crossing things off the board. The cookies I'm steeping in the heavy cream are just about done. Check the breakfast casserole and it definitely requires more time. Now it's time to strain the cookies out of the heavy cream, then use my immersion blender to blend it until it is thick. And boy, was this combo thick. I forgot to mention I use a little bit of maple syrup as well to add a little bit of sweetness to the heavy cream. That's stored away in the mason jar and in the fridge. A quick composting moment for all my vegetable scraps. And if you're watching this and wondering what the dishes situation is like, it's abysmal, but I like to do the dishes as I go. At this point, it's silly little drink time, and I've been obsessed with this new soda. It's a matcha creamsicle probiotic soda from GTS, and it's so unbelievably good. For lunch this week, I'm doing In-N-Out dupe burgers, but with chicken instead. Got that into my bowl, and my breakfast casserole is finally done. Moved that and then heated up my cast iron for my burgers. Just a simple burger recipe with the meat and just some seasonings. cleaning up my workspace after working with that raw chicken. And now I'm gonna make a little bit of an In-N-Out sauce too. Mayo, ketchup, salt, pepper, onion, garlic, little bit of mustard, obviously some relish, flipping my burgers, and then back to my sauce, getting that all mixed up and blended together. She is an absolute beaut and tastes delicious. In the fridge she goes. Saw one of my favorite creators, Clara Pierce, I think that's how you say her name, make these no-bake Butterfinger bites and knew I had to instantly recreate them. But first my burgers are done and I'm setting those aside to cool. Too lazy to get out my food processor, so I am crumbling these cornflakes with a cup, adding in a little bit of maple syrup and some peanut butter, just measuring with my heart here until I have somewhat of a moldable consistency. My original intention was to make these into little balls, but it's the end of the meal prep and my patience is wearing thin, which is why I decided to dump these onto the cookie sheet, spread them out until I had sort of like a rectangle shape, throw them in the freezer, and then cut them into little squares afterwards. Burger babies are cooled and ready to get stored away for the week. Just throwing those into a Tupperware and calling it a day. Egg casserole ended up taking about 45 minutes to cook. But she looks good, she smells good, and I'm honestly so excited to eat that during the week. Just about done here. Need to take our Butterfinger bites out of the freezer. But before we do that, we're going to heat up some chocolate. My husband bought milk chocolate, but I should have requested dark. Heating that up in the microwave with a little bit of coconut oil. I start by heating it up for a minute and then add 30 seconds as we go. For me, this is the easiest way to melt chocolate. Chopped my cornflakes into little squares and then dipped those each into the melted chocolate. Added a little bit of sea salt on top to just kind of cut the sweetness. And as you can see, your girl was ready to just like be done. The dipping was taking way too long, and so now we're going to use more of like a spreading technique, we'll call it. Let the chocolate harden in the fridge for a little bit and then cut out the squares again and got those stored away in their own little Tupperware. Mission accomplished and my meal prep is done. The fridge is stocked. Going to finish up with a little kitchen cleanup, get the rest of the dishes finished, and get all of the compost together and put into the bin. Now I'm officially ready to turn my brain off for the week, well, at least when it comes to food. Bye!